Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, Joe Burrow showed up to camp with a platinum blonde buzz cut, looking like Eminem.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I look like Martin Van Buren. Anybody want to look like that? Or am I the only one that wants to look like that?
Martin Van Buren, is he on the country charts? Is that rap? What is that? Rock? Heavy metal? Not R&B. I would recognize if he's R&B.
Yeah, no, he's not. I mean, he's in, Old Presidents for 400. Martin Van Buren. Who does he look like? He looks like me. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the NFL pushes for 18 games. Tarek Skubal is making it hard for the Tigers to trade him. And Brian Windhorst joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with Bobby Witt Jr., just a single shy of the cycle, getting hit in the 6th inning of last night's Royals-Diamondbacks games that ended with Kansas City winning 10-4. Royals catcher Salvador Perez started barking when Witt was hit, saying later, quote, "I'm going to have Junior's back," unquote. When one of Arizona's players was then plunked, manager Torey Lovullo argued at home plate. He got tossed. Lovullo later said he told the umpire, quote, "If you think in your right mind that I was going to ask our team to hit the future of Major League Baseball, you're crazy and you've lost control of this situation," unquote. Lovullo went further, saying, quote, "That's what I said to the umpire and I wanted Salvi to hear it," unquote. Wilbon, how did it look to you?
Tony, it looked like typical stupid baseball back and forth to me. And I'm just too old at this point and played a lot of baseball as a pitcher and have watched so much of it. I refuse to get drawn into trying to figure out who did what intentionally and what was accidental, even though the sycophantic announcer, who I guess doing the Kansas City broadcast, immediately jumped to, "That was so unintentional." He has no idea.
Right.
I like Torey Lovullo. I thought there was some sportsmanship there. You can have sportsmanship in baseball, can't you? Maybe you can't. Some class about it. I thought the fact that he goes at the leader of the Kansas City Royals and says, "I want you to hear this too." And by the way, when has an umpire ever been bigger than that dude? He looked like a power forward from the 1980s NBA. He's like 6'7", 2'8", like Bill Lane Beer. So anyway, it was theater. I don't care. I like Lovullo. I do. I just like Lovullo and what he stands for often.
Okay, I saw the clip, and I thought it was intentional, hitting Bobby Witt Jr., because it was the first pitch of the at-bat. It was a 9-3 game. The game was basically over. So I did think it was intentional, and I'm totally convinced that it was retaliatory when they hit the Arizona player. Totally. My only hesitation, Mike, is to think with a pitcher, are you going to hit a guy to prevent him from getting a single? Are you acting under orders from someone, or are you doing that on your own? Are you going to do that on your own on the road? I don't know about that. I thought the catcher's reaction was great. He's an all-star catcher, Mike, 9-time all-star, and he knows Bobby Witt is an all-star as well. I mean, Bobby Witt
his guy.
Is a really good player, and I'll just take about 10 more seconds. That from Lovullo is enormous praise to say he's the future of Major League Baseball. Lovullo managed in the World Series last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And he's got players. He had the Rookie of the Year last year, Corbin Carroll. So if I'm Corbin Carroll, even though I'm having a bad year, I might say, "Hey, Skip, what about me? That guy's the future. What about me? I'm your guy." So.
Well, true, Tony, but I just think Lovullo, that was a classy move, and baseball doesn't have that much of that. That often. So good. I'm going to applaud him, if nothing else, intentional or not. Let's move to the Detroit Tigers and their ace, Tarek Skubal. The AL Cy Young candidate allowed 10 hits yesterday against Cleveland, but just 1 run. Picked up his 11th win of the season. Skubal is often mentioned as potential trade targets for contenders like the Dodgers and the O's. But the Tigers have won 11 of their last 14. So, Tony, should the Tigers be looking to trade Skubal or keep him and contend, for God's sake?
Okay, so this is my favorite time of the year in baseball, the trade deadline. It's my favorite time of the year in all sports, trade deadlines. I really enjoy that. So should they trade him? First of all, he's a Scott Boras client, and you know that Scott Boras likes to take people to free agency almost every chance he gets. But they have his rights through 2026. That's a long way off, so they don't have to trade him now. I'll just tell you a parable. 2 years ago around this time, the Washington Nationals traded Juan Soto. And people in Washington were heartbroken because Juan Soto could very well end up as one of the all-time great players. He's not walking through that door again. But now it's 2 years later. They got 3 players who really helped. They got C.J. Abrams as the all-star shortstop. They got Mackenzie Gore as probably their number 1 starter. And they got James Wood, who just came up. He was the number 1 prospect in the minor leagues. He's playing in the bigs now, and he's hitting the ball. None of these guys are Soto, but you got 3 players to help with a rebuild. So what I'm saying, Mike, is it's not cut and dried. There is nuance to whether you trade or not.
Tony, there is, and I hear what you're saying. You make a great case. But, Tony, you can get position players. Deals often bring back position players, but they don't often bring back starters. You and I talk every day, and with every guest we have from Major League Baseball about starters. Okay, so Skubal, who's I think 27 years old, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Those are your primaries. I think about a guy like Jake Arrieta.
That's right.
Jake Arrieta, who didn't hit his prime. He was like 25 and 29. He gets to 28 years old, and boom, 2015, 16, 17, 18. He's an ace. And so Skubal could do that. I understand the Tigers are not in contention yet, but don't you owe your fans something? Can't you keep this guy under your control, even with Scott Boras, for 3 or 4 seasons, which is as long as it goes?
Well, at least 2 more. I think we're both saying the same thing. It's a hard call. It's a hard call.
It is tough. It's tough.
We moved to the NFL, and a piece by our friend Mark Maskey in the Washington Post that the NFLPA was engaged in discussions with the league about a potential 18-game schedule. NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell is not dead set against it. Howell said, quote, "I call it bargaining," unquote, and referred to money, field surfaces, time off, OTAs, and safety as possible chips for the NFLPA, excuse me. Wilbur, could you see the players supporting an 18-game schedule?
Yeah, they're going to support an 18-game schedule. And, Tony, let me declare my baggage, all right? This is sort of new baggage.
Yeah, he's your boy.
Friendship is not new. Lloyd Howell is a personal friend and has been that for a long time. So let me get that out of the way. And I believe in his expertise and his intellect and his ability to persuade and guide and negotiate. I do. And this is a negotiation. That's what it sounded like to me. I hate the notion of an 18-game schedule because I think the league just lies. It doesn't even pay lip service. It lies. It talks about, health and safety being a primary issue, and it isn't. Money's the primary issue. It's the only issue. They don't give a damn. So that's my thing. And the players have to know that. And they're going to get their money. Let me just give a quick suggestion. Why not make it so that you can play 18 games, but players cannot be eligible for more than 16? So that means nobody can play more than 16, but there is an 18-game schedule with NFL players, and your roster can expand. You can have more guys. They just won't be eligible to be maimed, which the NFL as a league entity doesn't care about.
That has been talked about at great length. Look, 18 is coming. 17 is idiotic. You can't end your season 9 and 8. It's incomplete. It's idiotic. Everybody knows they crossed the Rubicon, players and owners, when they went to 17. There's a big opportunity for players. They are going to support 18 because they're going to get a lot of what they want. Not going to get everything, but they're going to get money. They're going to get time off with extra bye weeks. They might be able to get all grass fields for safety issues. They might be able to reduce OTAs, which are stupid and nobody wants them anyway. They're going to cash in on this particular thing. The owners are going to get 18. The players are going to get a bunch of stuff. The season, thank God, is going to go all the way into March probably. And that's, as they say, how we make the peace. Let's take a break. Coming up, how does Team USA feel about barely beating South Sudan and Germany? We're going to ask Brian Windhorst.
We're also going to ask him how LeBron feels about these fourth quarter heroics. They should all negotiate trips to Egypt and come back wearing Egyptian cats on T-shirts. They do that.
The USA men's basketball team heads into the Olympics having scraped by South Sudan and Germany, which makes it a perfect time for a visit from our great friend who's been following the team, ESPN senior writer Brian Windhorst. Brian, let's just start with that. what has been the internal reaction to these very close games, at least one of which could not have been expected?
Yeah, for sure, Tony. Look, I think that they believe that they can play better. They have some things that they can tune up. They're still working on their rotations. They're still working on their offense. When they get into a half-court offense, it gets a little squishy. But I do believe that they think that they're playing well and they're trending in the right direction. And you're going to say, well, how could you say that when you beat South Sudan by 1 point and Germany by 4? Well, the South Sudan game was not a good performance. It was really a bad first half. They were much better in the second half. They were the dominant team in the second half of that game. And against Germany, Germany is an excellent team. They are the current World Cup champions. Those guys have played together for years. They play smart. They play fast. They get into passing lanes. They have great size. They really gave the U.S. some trouble with the way that they attack the offensive glass. Considering this team doesn't have much chemistry, I think they're doing okay. And I know that that's not what the standard is, but I will tell you, back in 2021, when I was getting ready to leave for Tokyo, I felt really nervous about whether that team was going to win the gold medal. That team lost 2 run-up games and looked shaky in the others. This team was undefeated. Their margin for error is definitely bigger.
All right, Brian, you know I'm working with a skeptic here for the last 100 years who doesn't want to believe that what used to be a huge gap has now been cut to almost nothing by an international basketball scene, which has really improved globally. Will you please enlighten your friend, Mr. Kornheiser?
Yeah, so this is going to be the most competitive international basketball event ever staged, especially the teams that reach the knockout round. Those 8 teams are going to be excellent teams. They have all these teams have size. They all have a continuity advantage on the Americans. This team's really only been together for 3 weeks. And I know that that sounds like an excuse, but when you actually watch these games and watch these teams run their offense like they could in the dark, and then you see Team USA get the ball and they get stuck in the half court and it's one-on-one basketball, you really feel the difference. Absolutely, the Americans are the favorite. Absolutely, they should be expected to win their 5th consecutive gold medal. But absolutely, these are going to be close games. They're going to have to work, and they're going to have to come down right to the end if they're going to win, what they really need, which is 3 wins in the knockout round, but 6 games overall.
All right, Brian. Tony and I will continue nonetheless to fight over this on the phone after we get off the show. But let's move to 40-year-old secret weapon LeBron James, who has rescued the team in consecutive games. Brian, I think we know how LeBron feels because we see all that flexing. We see all of that all the time now. But, you talk to him, you know him, you have a sense of him. What's he thinking and feeling like?
This is like in the in-season tournament last year. LeBron has decided he wants this championship, and he's going to do everything he can to get it. He is playing at full power right now. He wants the ball in these situations. He was really annoyed when Steve Kerr didn't start him in the second half against South Sudan when the team was down 14 points after a really shaky first half. He was absolutely aggressive from the opening tip-off. I mean, we had a record crowd here in London last night, and LeBron had 2 dunks in the first 3 minutes of the game and then scored Team USA's last 11 points like he was on the 2007 Cavs all over again. He is absolutely pouring it out. He is going to, work at both ends of the court. I know that he's got, at this point in his career, he has to moderate his energy. You can bring up tape of games in January and February where he is not playing full power. He is at full power. And I think one of the interesting things about this team, and maybe it speaks to where Team USA is going to be in 2028, when the trouble has happened these last couple of games, it's been LeBron that they've gone to. Steve Kerr has drawn up plays for LeBron, gone to LeBron. And I think that is something that we could see if Team USA gets in trouble when the Olympics start this weekend.
I will stay with LeBron and get you out of here on this. Joel Embiid told the New York Times that LeBron is not the same player he was a couple of years ago. I don't want to make this into Colin Montgomery and Tiger Woods, but I am interested in finding out that Joel Embiid has won nothing and LeBron has 4 rings. How did LeBron take that?
Well, we didn't ask him about it yet because we haven't had a chance to really delve into it. By the way, Joel Embiid has played really well the last couple of games, rounding into form, and that's been big for the Americans. Joel, on his face, is correct. LeBron James is not the LeBron James of that run where he went to 8 straight finals. Steph Curry is not the Steph Curry when he was the unanimous MVP 10 years ago. That's just true. They are not players that can dominate, especially at the MVP level like that. But what I know about LeBron historically is he doesn't want his teammates talking like that. So my guess is that it mildly annoyed him, and he might have given him a little bit of a joke after he had that dominant performance last night, because that's how LeBron tends to operate.
Yeah, after he wins the game, he should go to Embiid and say, how's that? How's that working out? Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
Let's take one last break. Still to come. The Jets traded for Hassan Reddick, but can't get him to report to training camp.
And what should we expect from Paul Skeens tonight in his first start since the All-Star game?
Do you think a no-hitter? Think a 7-inning no-hitter?
No, they'll take him out after 8. They'll take him out to 8 in the third. Baseball.
Oh no, they won't let him go. They won't let him go 8. Oh no, they won't let him go 8. Happy time, people. Happy 50th birthday, Maurice Green. We celebrate the upcoming Olympics by saying happy birthday to former world record holder in the 100 and 2-time gold medalist in the 100 and 4x100 relay in the Sydney Olympics in 2000. Green also has a silver medal in the 4x100 from Athens in 2004 and a bronze in the 100 in those same Olympics. Green was a 5-time world champion in the 100, the 200, and the 4x100 relay. But the great video from Green is when he won 100 in 2004 and got one of his buddies, hurdler Larry Wade, to bring out a fire extinguisher and hose down Green's shoes after he took them off, indicating they were too hot for anyone to handle.
Tony, I was walking into the 2017 World Championships to watch Usain Bolt. And I walk into Mo Green, walking in the stadium. And we chatted for a bit. He's just so personable, as you can tell. And he said, we can never show that video too much. And I got a big hug for showing that video, which, of course, is his favorite clip. Mo Green, how great was he all the way around?
It's a great video. Happy anniversary to the College All-Stars versus NFL Champs annual game. On this day 48 years ago, the last of this summer exhibition series featuring college stars versus the NFL champions was played under insane conditions that forced the game to be called. The Super Bowl champion Steelers were dominating the College All-Stars 24-0 in the third quarter when a monsoon-level thunderstorm inundated Soldier Field. When college coach Ara Parsegian called timeout to organize his team in the storm, hundreds of fans stormed the field. The game was called because of lightning and because those fans on the field had torn down the goalposts and showed no inclination to leave. So the 42-year run of this charity game ended and was never revived.
Tony, that game lasted for 5 decades, that classic in Chicago at Soldier Field, 1 year at Dyke Stadium. But the important thing is the sports editor of the Chicago Tribune, a man named Arch Ward, I know you've heard of him, who was the driver behind Major League Baseball's All-Star Game, he also had the idea for that classic. Those things were played forever. 42 years, pretty good run. Chicago Tribune Sports Center.
Happy trails to Hassan Reddick reporting to the Jets. The Pro Bowl pass rusher is reportedly not planning to show up to training camp until he gets the new deal he's been seeking. The Jets traded a conditional third-rounder to the Eagles for Reddick earlier this offseason, and the question is, why didn't they get the deal done at that time? The 29-year-old Reddick is due to make $14.5 million in the last year of the 3-year deal he signed with the Eagles, which is 20th among edge rushers. He had 11 sacks last season, 16 the year before. The Jets can now fine Reddick $50,000 per day if they believe that will get him to report.
The Jets have a chance to be really, really, really good for a change. I'm not buying all this nonsense around the network that they're going to the Super Bowl. But get this guy signed. You got a great defense. You got a coach who knows what he's doing with defensive players like him. Get him signed. Come on, seriously.
One clarification I have now seen, speaking of the Jets, the Egyptian cat shirt Aaron Rodgers was wearing. I thought Wilbon had said Egyptian cap. So I got that wrong. Let's go to the big finish. The Heat beat the Grizzlies in overtime to win the NBA Summer League title. Who cares about this?
I don't care. I like to see the games when I'm there, but impressed, let's tamp it down a little bit. Dodgers rookie River Ryan gave up just one unearned over 5 1/3 in his major league debut. Is that significant?
If Glasnow isn't ready, if Kershaw isn't ready, very significant. Your Bears excused safety Jonathan Owens from 4 practices so he can watch his wife Simone Biles compete in the Olympics. That's good, isn't it?
Not just good, it's enlightened. And for an NFL team, I'm a standing ovation for the Bears for doing that. Andy Murray says he'll retire after the Olympics. Make sense?
He's not fit anymore. He's had a lot of operations. He can't play anymore, really. Last one, Paul Skeens faces the Cardinals tonight. What do you expect?
Drama. Those two teams, Pittsburgh and the Cardinals, separated by a game. Drama. Want drama. That's my division.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. Shout out to Michael Cornwell, who I've known since birth. MVP of the Hungarian Bowl 18. Returning interceptions all over the place. Dude, congrats.
Good. Shout out to the Bengals, too.
And he's a guy that doesn't like to fall too far behind, and he understands that we have a really good team, and he doesn't want to miss his window. He understands all of that, so I believe he's going to practice.
I don't know if Tyreek was breathless from practice or talking about his quarterback there, Adam, but what is the situation as it stands now with Tua and the Fins?
Hannah, the two sides have continued to talk about a long-term extension for Tua Tagovailoa, but it doesn't feel like there's been as much progress made here as there has been in Green Bay regarding a new contract extension for Jordan Love. And I think the issue, some people around the league believe it could be over guaranteed money. The average for this deal is not hard to figure out. Should be in the 50s somewhere, not hard. The question is the actual guaranteed money. Here's a quarterback last year who played the full season, didn't miss any time, but before last year had missed plenty of time. So what is the guarantee that the Dolphins are willing to give him? How much, considering his injury history, despite the fact that he played all of last year? That creates an added layer of complications as these two sides continue to try to get done a deal that right now doesn't seem close to happening.
You mentioned him being healthy. Tua and the Fins Dolphins averaging over 400 yards per game, most in the NFL. But the headline here, you said, this deal not close to happening. But Adam, we're not done. Kevin?
Oh, Hannah, this offseason has been good for wide receivers getting big contracts, unless you're Brandon Ayuk. He has requested a trade because he and the Niners can't agree on an extension. He's due $14 million on the 5th year of his rookie contract. GM John Lynch talked today about the impasse.
We've had great communication. We started this really early. We made it a priority to try to get done. We've had excellent communication throughout. Really don't want to characterize. We haven't been able to, and that's a shame. But Brandon's a big part of our team, and we expect that he will be this year.
Got a lot of love for BA. I think I'm close with him, and hopefully that can help, but it only can help so much. There's also a business side to it, and but when you do have relationships with people, it helps.
We fully intend on Brandon being a Niner moving forward. We're always open to listen to things. But like I said, we expect Brandon to be an integral part of our team like he has been, and excited about that.
They're saying all the right things as Shefty is back with us. The Niners remain adamant that Ayuk will remain a Niner, and he was in the building today, so that's a good sign. What's the latest with a couple of other receivers wanting new deals? And let's start with CeeDee Lamb.
The Cowboys are on the field tomorrow reporting to camp, and I think CeeDee Lamb will have a decision to make here, whether or not he actually does report to camp. That's his big decision to make. Now, again, these things change sometimes in the last moment, as we saw today with Matthew Stafford. So if the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb cannot make any progress, it might be a surprise to see CeeDee Lamb in camp with the rest of his team tomorrow. We'll see if they can figure out a solution in the 11th hour. And In the interim, in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase is in the building. Now, he is in the 4th year of his contract. He is eligible for a new deal. And here's the interesting part. Despite the fact that he's there right now, he's scheduled to make $1 million this season in base salary. When the wide receiver market has exploded, we've heard the Bengals president, Mike Brown, say that they're not close, and it looks like they're going to wait on that deal. That's how the Bengals feel. I don't know that Jamar Chase is going to feel as comfortable waiting for a new deal when his salary is $1 million. So Jamar Chase will have some decisions to make this summer, this season, about whether and how much he's willing to play for $1 million, knowing all the money that's out there for wide receivers. That's the business element of this. It's always a part of these situations, and we'll have to see how Jamar Chase feels about this. I don't think we've heard the last of this just yet.
$1 million for a guy as Chase is just one of 4 players in NFL history to have at least 80 catches and 1,000 receiving yards in each of his first 3 seasons. Shefty, thank you so much.
Hey, Kev, take a look at Chase's quarterback. Who is that?
My name is...
Is that Shady? No, that's Joe Burrow. Arriving to camp today with his new bleach blonde buzz cut. You like that?
I don't recognize him.
No, the Bengals actually added the caption, "Guess who's back?"
Well done.
Because he looks so much like Eminem. All right, speaking of arrivals, Aaron Rodgers showed up today in an Egyptian cat T-shirt.
Of course.
Yeah, of course he does. You know, this is his tradition, poking fun at the reaction this time to his reported trip to Egypt during mandatory minicamp. So look at me. I have on an Egyptian cat T-shirt. Aaron Rodgers is back and healthy after suffering a season-ending Achilles tear 4 snaps into his Jets tenure. The favorite to win comeback player of the year at ESPN Bet. Jets obviously added wide receivers. They added Mike Williams. He pairs with Garrett Wilson, and